You know, as I get started here, I kind of feel like a duck out of water. I've spoken Des Moines, Iowa, and then I went to Bowman, North Dakota. And so I've been in the middle of both of these guys. So all I'm going to tell you guys is how the soil health has helped our farm. My name's Dan Forgey, as you can see. Cronin Farms is owned by Mike and Monty Cronin. We're at Gettysburg, South Dakota. We're a 100-year farm. And out of that, we have 8,300 acres of of farm ground. 320 of that is irrigated, and 850 head cow-calf operation. And the grass what the cows run on is Missouri River breaks, and it'll always be grass. You can see our irrigation circles. If you guys have ever been there, that's the Wahi Reservoir. The bridge, Bob's Steakhouse is right down here if you've ever been down there. But so our pasture kind of lays in one big chunk, which is a good deal, but it's a bad deal because we're really short of moisture. And you can see why we'll never farm that ground. And the little green box down at the bottom, that's where we winter our cows. We've got two sections. We bring our cows home and we winter them, and that's really a challenge in these dry years because we're losing our residue too fast. Residue's a king to us. We've got to have residue. When, you know, everybody talks about rain and we get 18.5 inches, and I'd give anything to have 18.5 inches every year guaranteed, just like you guys like to have your rain guaranteed. In 2011, we were a little bit low in the fall. We never got a lot of excess moisture, no snow. We've had 10.5 inches last summer. So you guys, I mean, 10.5 inches is hard to manage, and we really thought we were in big trouble, but we kind of pulled one off, as I'll explain later. If you guys don't know, this is Pier, and then our farm's right north of it. And you can see that little line there where the county separates, and that's just historically drier because the influence of the river and the moisture. So closer to the river we had some of our fields get 9.5 inches. And I mean, you talk about trying to make a better farm reality and still raise the crop and support the cattle herd. You know, and everybody says that there's never going to be another Dust Bowl. We want to never say never, because Dwayne Beck was doing a talk, and he said, did anybody see the Dust Bowl on the Educational Channel? And someone said, well, who was playing? So a lot of the younger generation don't realize what this is, you guys. But here we are in 2007 in Central South Dakota, and here we are in 2012. This scares me to death. This is no-till ground, and this scares me to death. And that's something we always have to be aware of. And we can't put a value on no-till in our area because that's revolutionizes. It's just a tremendous effect what the no-till's done to us. We're 100% no-till, been 100% no-till for 20 years. And this is the main reason for our success. Dr. Dwayne Beck at Dakota Lake Research. Tremendous man. I know most of you guys have heard him speak, but for as far as our area, he's helped us as much as any way we could be helped. Farming before no-till, and we did do it. We used to disc. We used to raise a couple crops and we'd make it black, or raise 3 crops and make it black. We didn't know any different. We tilled the ground every year to plant our crop, and then we felt we were some of the better farmers in the area. And we found out now, as the more we're getting into no-till, and the more we're thinking of soil health, the soil needs to be fed. We need to be thinking about what's going on underneath the ground, not necessarily what's going on top. It's easy to look at the top, but let's look underneath. We raised quite a few crops, and I know you guys with your high rent, you say, well, you can't get away from corn, and I understand that. I mean, if that would, but then, so we have a lot of diversity in our cropping rotations. Right now, this coming year, I'm going to have 13 rotations. So 13 different rotations in our 8,300 acres. So you can see how diversified we are. I think you have to have diversification, especially in our area. This is what has happened to us when we got into no-till. So we kind of got revved up in 2002, and these are our yield goals, you guys. And so it's hard to explain, and a lot of this we're doing with not using a lot more fertilizer. We're using some more fertilizer, but not a lot. You know, because all of a sudden you're ramping down. The phosphorus level is just unreal how we're backing off on our phosphorus. And so that's where our yield goals went. And even as dry as we were, these are the yields we had last year. Just couldn't believe it. We got done with small grain harvest, and I said, we're harvesting our small grain and our corn the same time because we're capable of 150 bushel corn. We're capable of 50 to 60 bushel beans. We need that August rain. We never had a rain this year. We had one rain that was 8,500ths. Everything else is below a ½ inch. So it's just like a heavy dew when you get that dry. You know, and this is another thing, and this is just our preference. This is how we do our biomass. For one thing, we don't bale it because we're not going to pay for the fuel to bale it, to haul it off, and then to pay the fuel to buy the fertilizer and to haul the fertilizer to us. This is what we do. I mean, Toby Stroh from Dickinson, he made a good quote, and I kind of like it. When you graze corn stalks, you do not lose the residue, you just cycle it faster. And so that's what we do. Not everybody's got livestock, but that's our goal at it. And this is a good website. Everybody is talking about how much does it cost to bale straw or corn stalks. And this is on iGrow, you guys. And you put in the amount of fertilizer, and it'll come down, and it'll give you the amount of nutrients you take off. To us, it's not so much the nutrients, it's the residue. We want the residue. And then the question to us is, just like I said before, this is at our home place, and this is the cows. I do my own soil sampling, and so you can see what our cattle are. You know, we're really in a fine line right now because our winter wheat's sitting in dry dirt. It's sprouted. We've had some snow. You go down 1/4 of an inch to a ½ inch, and you run out of moisture. So, I mean, we're critical. We're beyond critical. I mean, we're going to have rain to get our crop to come up this spring. You know, and this is kind of neat. I like earthworms. You go behind our stubble field when we're planting corn, and you dig, and you look around, and there's just solid earthworms. You go digging for corn, and you move the earthworms out. So I think you guys let the earthworms tell your soil health, and they help water infiltration so much. And then on the bottom, during drought, these tunnels also allow for deep plant roots. And we really found that out this year. You know, and that's one of our soils. It's just the top 4 or 5 inches off one of our fields. And then we're just wormholes. But see and what's this all mean? And I thought this was kind of neat because in the worm cast, there's 2 times as much carbon, 1.5 times more nitrogen, 7 times more phosphorus, and 6.5 times more potassium. So you can really understand how worms help your operation. This is the corn following the cover crop. You can see the wormholes in it. And you know what, I couldn't figure out where this green was coming from because we hadn't had any rain. And I really felt we didn't have a lot of subsoil. Like I just got done saying in July, I thought we were harvesting our corn too, and I didn't know where this was coming from, so we dug a root pit. And to try to find out the story. And 5 foot 7 inches down, we found roots. We found some roots deeper than that. The moisture was at 5 foot 4 inches. That's how far down the moisture was. But the corn was able to get down there. And it's through the diversity, through the aggregation, and it's through the wormholes, and then following the deep-rooted crops, like from our cover crops and our sunflowers, helping follow the roots down. And this is something that I feel pretty good about, you guys. This is our organic matter. People talk about organic matter. We don't give enough credit to our organic matter. We feel really good about our organic matter. I mean, that's our driving force on our farms, our organic matter. But we went 5.1 on grass, and we've gone from 2.8 to 4.1 in 10 years. You guys and I feel really good about that. I mean, I've site-specific soil samples, so I know that figure's right. I feel good about that. And this is a big one in our area, is I know there's a lot of nitrogen stuff you gain, but we want to gain the water, so the organic matter acts like the sponge. When we get anymore, it seems like we get a rain event, and so what we want to do is when that rain event does come, we want to be able to capture it all. We never have water run off. So that's why one of the bigger benefits of the organic matter. And then this is from Iowa State. They value $680 for a percent of organic matter. You can put your numbers in, but you guys, that percent of organic matter means a lot. This is another thing, you guys, I'm really I really like this, is mycorrhizal fungi. And I don't know how many of you guys, are watching this or whatever, but mycorrhizal fungi, what it does, it helps with phosphorus uptake, and it takes the phosphorus from a non-legume plant, gives a legume plant, and it transfers in between the plants. You guys, this is a tremendous, and there's 700 times more root growth on a mycorrhizal plant. You guys, and every time you pick up a magazine now, the Dakota Farmer, the Farm Journal, the Furrow, anything you read about, it's about soil health. And this is a big key in soil health right here. And I think that's a lot of it why we got help through the drought this year. You know, you guys have probably, Jill Clapperton, you guys probably read the Furrow magazine. I hope you did. It's a good magazine, and they really talk about cover crop and the benefits of cover crop and the miracle of mycorrhizae. And if you've read that, Brian Jorgensen from Ideal, they feature him in this magazine, and he talks about the phosphorus. The statement was made this morning that we need more phosphorus. And he's finding out in his rotation, the diverse rotation, that he's really cutting back on phosphorus, taking less phosphorus, because what it does is the mycorrhizae fungi goes out and it gets the organic phosphorus and makes it available to the plant. You know, and everybody talks about mycorrhizae, and they say, oh, you got to have cover crops, you got to have a cover crop. I'm a big believer in cover crops. But also this, you guys, these plants all here are mycorrhizae friendly. So you're going to get the fungi growing on these crops. So in our rotation, basically, we're growing quite a few mycorrhizae friendly plants. February 14th, this was a good deal. The ARS, Shannon Osborne, and Bill Lehman, they invited whoever wanted to come in. I don't know, maybe some of you guys did, to bring soils. And so I went out and dug, and I was hoping, boy, I hope I can't get the probe in the ground. 8 places in the field. I took 3 fields in. I said, I hope I can't get the probe in the field because there's too much frost. Well, there wasn't any frost. I kicked through the snow, but it was just as dry as it was. Hard to probe because it's dry. But to make a long story short, we took 3 fields in, and you can see that out of the 3 samples, our 3 samples were the highest. And then the only samples that were higher are CRP and native range. And you can see that the rotation's off on the side of them, so you can see what a diverse rotation did. And this isn't 100% no-till. And 7 and 9 are better producing fields. I mean, just every year they crank for us, you guys. So I have a great admiration for what's going on underneath the ground. You know, we plant cover crop. Do we really know the benefits? And so what I did, I took it upon myself, and I went out and I took foot squares, and I went 8 or 10 places around the field, and I took the biomass. I dried the biomass down, set it in, got the protein. 797 pounds of protein and common factor 6.25. Okay, so when I did this, we ended up with 128 pounds of N. I soil sampled out when the cover crop was really small, and I had 48 pounds of N. And then I soil sampled it when the cover crop was just about all terminated. I had 8 pounds, so I netted 88 pounds of N. So, and then what I'll do on that, on our farm, what I do on that is I'll take half that credit. The other half might come later when you have a corn crop in late season, but I take half that credit. I just had to put a value on what good our cover crop was doing. We graze cattle on cover crop. That's another good thing about having cattle. Cattle like cover crops. Radishes and turnips, it's good for water infiltration. This is one thing that we're really working on. When we first started, I wanted to grow if you guys ever go to cover crop or see cover crop magazines, you have the guy holding the big radish up. It's like who can get the biggest radish? And this is what I was. Anybody can grow these other ones, but I want to grow radishes and turnips. They were having turnip feed at the VFW from our cover crop field, and I felt really good that we were able to grow turnips. Everybody was talking about it, but what I found out, it was really low carbon. We were breaking our residue down way too fast. So I like right now we have very high carbon cover crops because we want residue. We like flax and oats. Oats is really a good cover crop. If you guys are going to fly something on corn, it's cheap. And then oats does not realize that it's going to be winter. it'll grow right along, and it'll keep growing, and it'll keep growing, and all of a sudden everybody else is saying, it's going to get cold, I'm going to shut down, and oats don't have a clue what's going to happen. And they grow into it, and then the flax will be there all winter to catch snow. And that's a big deal to us, is catching snow. You guys talk about cover crop, and I was at Altoona, that's all they were talking about. I was over there in big-time corn bean country. How do you put cover crop on? Everybody over there is Italian ryegrass, and I mean, it was just, they don't have any mixes, but I mean, it's a big deal over there. They're putting cereal rye, Italian ryegrass out. We've flown cover crop on twice. This is the turnip radish, and the radish will help us assist nematode, and then the cattle like to graze it. We don't get a lot of growth. We're playing with this a lot. We're going to do a lot of different things. This year we might do a lot before, instead of just doing a whole circle or half a circle, we might get into little blocks just to kind of get this thing figured out, because as far as soil health and compaction, I mean, this is a big deal, these cover crops, and grazing, fall grazing. This is something everybody says, well, how do you know if you've got enough moisture to plant cover crop? In our area, that's a big deal. Everybody laughs at me. They say, why are you guys trying to plant cover crop? And a lot of times my goal when we first started it is to have about 15% of our farm into cover crop every year for kind of help with the rotation. So this is from July, when we got done combining wheat, until May of the next year when the corn started using the moisture. We had 17.6. And then, so I just did it the next year too, and we had 16.35 inches. So what I did was I went to the Web Soil Survey, took a quarter, the available water in 0 to 150 centimeters. That's how much water, that's the rain. So basically in the top 5 foot, we had 10.3 on one and 11.4 on the other. So I had an excess of 6.2 and 5.45 that my ground couldn't hold. I understand I could probably hold more of that with what we're doing farming, but just, so what I'm saying is I'll give 2 inches to cover crop to help with soil health and not be waterlogged. So you go out there the next spring and you can't plant it anyway because it's too wet. So I mean, I really, but that's a reason. I always have a reason why I do something. This is, no one's ever too old to learn, but some people keep putting it off. And with me, you guys, I always do that. I mean, it's just, but I want to say I keep putting it off because I just really have to work at it. It took me a long time to be hanging around Beck and stuff to learn that you had to have diversified rotations and it equals soil health. But one thing I'm learning, and this is it's not going to be a hard lesson, but something I'm going to work on harder. We have to have rain to have cover crop. You can't plant cover crop thinking it's going to rain. If you don't feel you have enough moisture to grow a cover crop, leave it alone. You guys, we live in such a fragile world, and we need to be thinking of the future. And I know that you guys and the way the cash rent's going, the big influence of the corn, and I've got to have corn, and $450 rent, and I understand all that because the economics have to be in, but whatever we do, you guys, let's don't forget about the future. Okay, thanks.